What? 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 Good morning, everyone. Oh, Ryan, we have no
Oh, there you
audio
are.
with you.
There you
There
go.
we
Now I can
go.
see you. All right, things are
That's a
happening.
great
Good
way to start the
morning. Good
show.
morning, everybody. I don't know what the hell that was, but we are here. We're back. It is Thursday morning. This is episode 226. I'm here with the Brian Piccolo to my Gail Sayers. How you doing this morning, Mike?
Why do I got to be Brian Piccolo?
Look, you're the
But
white guy.
before we started, I was Nate Peterman. Now I'm
Yeah,
Brian Piccolo.
yeah.
I got to be the guy that dies. Okay,
If
I
you
see how
moved
it is.
up, I mean, Piccolo
Yeah,
is a lot better than Peterman.
that is true.
What's going on, man?
Not a whole hell of a lot over on this end, man. I got nothing going on today.
I know one
Sad
thing
state of affairs.
and one thing only. Today is Thunder Cunt Thursday.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I got to use that pen all day today at work. My boss, he needed a pen, and I gave him the pen. And once he saw it, his face brightened up. He
You won't
smiled.
see me using another pen today. This is the special pen. I have a pen for every day of the week. I'm like a young child apparently, and I have to so I don't lose my pens or lose track of my pens. This one here is Thunder Cunt. Thunder. I don't even know what does that mean. Thunder Cunt Thursday. I like
We
it,
were
but I don't.
we were trying to figure that out at work. There's a couple different ways
Sounds
to go, but
fun.
it sounds fun, but it also can be someone who is uber cunty.
Yeah, like a Karen would be a Thunder Cunt, like that, like
Yeah,
that kind of cunty, or do you mean
yeah, that kind of.
like more literal cunty?
It could be both.
Yeah, like a Thunder Cunt. If you
Yeah,
say it the right way, it's actually sounds kind of hot.
it does, right?
Thunder Cunt. Come get some of this Thunder Cunt, baby. Ay, ay, ay. What up, everybody? Welcome to the Two Dumb Yinzers. Rainy. It's rainy here in Western Pennsylvania. At least it is where I'm at. Mike, we had a big game last night, a showdown between ACC powers. The Pitt Panthers traveled down to the Cameron Fieldhouse in North
Yeah.
Carolina to take on the Duke Blue Devils. The Cameron Crazies were out. It was loud. It was packed. It was intimidating. And to tell you what, all the way until the end of the first half, it was a good game. The Pitt Panthers were leading 43-32 at
Yeah.
halftime. But in the second half, the Duke Blue Devils bring it. They come back. They look like a whole different team. It looked like they were a late starting team, something like
Mhm.
what teams here in Pittsburgh do from time to time. They start at the last drive of the game, but that's for another day. But these Duke Blue Devils, Mike, these Duke Blue Devils, they were very strong. This is a good team, and you know what? I'm watching these guys, and both teams are so talented.
Uh-huh.
One thing that gets me about basketball, it's crazy because you have to take this ball that's slightly smaller than a hoop. It's 10 feet up in the air. You got people running around, blocking you, chasing you, guarding you, everything like that. Yet these guys are able to take that ball and manage to get it in that hole.
Yeah.
How many times to make the score 77, 69, or even like when the NBA games, they get to, 124
Yeah.
to 101. Think of how many times you take that, they take that ball and they put it through, like I said, the hoop is, bigger, but not much bigger.
Yeah.
Just find a way. And if there's an art to it, I mean, you can't just take and chuck a ball up at the hoop. I mean, there's a real skill to this. And these guys just time after time after time. Like I have a hard time when I go to the when the carnival comes to town every summer, and you go and
Making that one.
yeah, and taking that wiffle ball and hitting it off the stop sign that's at a bit of an angle, and get it to drop down in the closed basket below. I can't win that. I never won that. I tried many times, but yet these guys could continue with people running really fast and jumping really high
Mhm.
and taking that ball and managing to get it to go in that basket that many times a game. Like that fascinates me about the sport of basketball. But one thing I did realize last night, these are two very good teams. They both found a way to get that ball in the bottom of that net many times. But you know what? I think that saying Duke was a 24 ranked team, I don't know what the teams at the top are doing, but I do know that I have to watch some of these top ranked teams because, like I said, if Duke is sitting at 24, if Pitt's sitting outside, I got to see what these teams at the top of the rankings are doing, Mike.
Oh yeah. Like the really good college teams, they tend to separate themselves. Like they have to be playing so much better. I haven't had a chance to sit down and watch any college basketball this year. Which sucks because some of these teams they're fun to watch. Just like following along, like people I follow on Twitter that are talking about the games. It's like I'm missing out, but I can't get in college basketball until the tournament. I'm that guy. Let me know when the round of like 64 starts or the play-in games start. That's when I start paying a lot of attention. But this game right here, I was in bed before tip off, but I woke up. I was reading through some of the stuff on Twitter. It's like, Pitt was up at half. I'm like, oh, cool. Then I start catching up with the feed coming the other.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, Duke had like a really big run to whittle this lead away. And I'm like looking here, man, like the field goal percentage, and you think, all right, Pitt, 43% from the field, 27% from three, both better than Duke. But Duke, man, they blew them away at the free throw line.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think
I mean, it was a good. Don't let the 11-point loss.
What, a 12-point lead. They had a 12-point lead. They blew. That's not good. And it looked like Duke dominated on the boards. They had 24 offensive rebounds, 9. Defensive rebounds 27 to 19. Like if you can control the boards in basketball, you should be able to control the game. Because if you can limit what the other team's going to do offensively, defensively, in handling that possession, you should win.
Now, you can't let the 8-point win fool you. It was very close. And even, in the end of the game, as it was coming down the stretch, Pitt kept nailing these threes, and then Duke would get down there and nail a 3. Mm-hmm. But, it was within 3 points in the last couple of minutes. And, just the way free throws, like you were saying, the free throw game, ends up taking over as a game finishes up. That ended up being the case. Duke was able to capitalize on that and were able to walk away. There wasn't too much between these two teams that I would say that Pitt and Duke are in two different categories.
Yeah.
They're very well belong together. I think that Pitt would win this game. Maybe if they played 5 times, I think Pitt would definitely win a couple. Like I said, it's not the Coach K team anymore. It's not the same thing, but you wouldn't know by watching these games. Like I said, their fans are just as wild as they always were. And here's another thing that I noticed. Is it really a Pitt team? Is it really a Duke team, Mike, if they don't have the big white guy? I don't think I've ever watched a Duke game in my life in 44 years where they didn't just have that big white guy that you just keep dishing it into every so often, getting those points. Then they had him. They had him again. And this guy, he was amazing.
Like all the way back to Christian Laettner.
Yeah, and I think it goes back further than that. That's just as far as we remember, because of the age. But I think that Duke always has that big white guy. I think it's just something that they go on, the way that Bill Belichick always has his white slot receivers. But and what's funny about that, Mike? Just kind of going off real quick. I seen a meme where they had those 3 of the guys from Georgia, and they were like a tight end, a wide receiver, the quarterback, and somebody else, and it was making that joke. It was like, well, I see Bill Belichick's top 3 picks.
I saw that one too. Yeah, I was dying.
And we joke about that, from time to time. We always say that he manufactures these guys, because where is he getting these average-sized white guys that could go in and excel and win Super Bowls and things like that? But that was a pretty funny one, Mike. I definitely did not want to not tell you that. I seen that, but you know what?
Duke, it's the truth, man. It's the truth, man. That's Bill Belichick.
But the Duke is what they are, Mike. They, they were everything that was billed. I thought when we were up by 12 at the half, 11 at the half, I thought that we had this. I thought we had it. I was like, okay, we're pretty good, and we're just going to beat Duke. But you know what? The real Duke team showed up in the second half, and it was no mistake, Mike. These guys were lights out, and like I said, I don't know what everybody else is doing above them, but I'd be curious to see, because they were impressive.
Yeah, good. Like the Goods men's team, they are fun to watch because, oh God. But mid-tier college basketball, I can't watch. Yeah, but I think I just can't wait for the tournament, man. I'm dragging my feet till the tournament.
It won't be long now, Mike.
Basketball.
You figure here we are in the 12th of January already, and that March Madness is right around the corner, and pretty much once these guys blow through their conference play. Because we have Georgia Tech here on Saturday at 3:00. It's our next game. And then I was looking down, and you know what? Georgia Tech is near the end of the schedule for their second time. So, once you blow through these conference games, it's March Madness before you know it.
Yeah, it just needs to get here, man. Regular season basketball for college, because they're trying to figure out how the rankings go. Like, they're like I said before, and there's like so many different things they figure out how to make the rankings because why Pitt wasn't ranked before this after beating what the number 25 team and number 11 team
Yeah,
back to back games. Why weren't they ranked?
right.
It makes no sense to me. And come on,
Yeah, so at least
I'm
somewhere in the
looking at the schedule right now. There's too many games. There's too many games for my liking.
but you got
Like
to know,
another
Mike, by
another
looking at that schedule,
months.
it does get considerably easier here for a few, and maybe we
Yeah.
can get back on track. Like I said, the loss to Clemson could have really went either way. The loss to Duke could have really went either way. So a couple plays here, a couple plays there. Duke has those 2 wins, but unfortunately, that's not the way it played out. Maybe second time around, or when we'll be able to put it back together. But like I said, this Pitt team is different. It's different than what we've had in the past, and it does put you in mind of just as far as the overall execution and the way to
Yeah.
stay in games with these bigger teams. It reminds
Mhm.
you of those Ben Howland and Jamie Dixon days. But you know what? I have a lot of faith in this team. I think the coach is a really good coach, and these guys are going to go. They're going to do good things. Here's the thing: they're going to end up in the tournament. They will end up in the big tournament.
See,
I
see
do
that's
believe.
what like I don't know. I
I
don't know.
mean,
Like
unless
some
you
of the
have a
people
major
I've been listening
breakdown,
to,
Mike, and lose a bunch of games. I
yeah.
mean, they might lose a couple more games the rest of the way. It's going to put them. I don't know, about
It's
eight
gonna
losses, give or take.
if they keep winning and pull off another upset against Miami because Miami is ranked right now. If they win the games they should because they should beat Georgia Tech, Louisville, Florida State, Wake
Oh
Forest.
yeah, they're
Well,
gonna
Wake
win.
Forest might be a game. I'm sorry, I jumped ahead of myself there.
They're gonna win a
Wake Forest should
lot
be a
of
game.
basketball games, Mike.
North Carolina, they beat them before, beat them again. That helps the resume. Beat Miami. You know, those 3 games right there. That Wake Forest, Miami, North Carolina, all coming up in a cluster. You got Louisville, Florida State, the big 3. Louisville again. You win those 3 right there, man. That's going to open up some eyes.
I say this: whatever they do, and if they finish out and they land in the tournament, I think they're going to win some games in the tournament. And if you win a couple games in the tournament, you're already sitting at the Sweet 16. You beat the team that you're supposed to beat in the first round. You beat a better team in the second round. You're already, you're halfway there. This team, Mike, they're interesting. I like I said, there are a lot of teams at the top that I've yet to see,
Yeah.
but this team, as far as what I've seen, they seem like a good. They'll be in contention when it comes down to it.
I, I, I don't think so. I would like to because Pitt basketball is the only Pitt team I like. I would like to see that happen. But I just don't think it's going to happen. I think this year,
What part don't you think will happen?
I don't think they're going to make the tournament. And if they do make the tournament, I don't think they're going to win any games.
Oh,
I
that's
think they might
wild.
be a one and done or win one and lose in that next round of 32. I just don't. I don't know. Everything I've read, everything I've heard, like people who follow the team daily, it seems like this was a surprise how well they're playing this year. So if they can keep playing this way, then next year I'm looking forward to where they might do more. I don't know. I hope I'm wrong. I hope the people I've been listening to are wrong. I
Yeah,
just
I think you do listen to the wrong people for a couple reasons, and I'm going to get into that a little bit more down the show later because you'll see. So anyway, that's where we're at. The Pitt Panthers, they do play Georgia Tech here. They're going to get they got to get back on track. They're going to win some games. Like I said, Mike, they're going to win a lot of games. They're probably going to win about 20, 22 games, give or take, at the end when it's all said and done. And you know what? That's going to be enough to get them in. There's going to be a lot of teams that aren't as good as them that do get in. But I do think Pitt will be in there, and I think they are just because they are supposedly a surprise this year. I think that they might just win that second game.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, man, watch this team. These guys are different. Mike, today, in 1975 was the day. Today was the day that the Pittsburgh Steelers won their very first Super Bowl against the Minnesota Vikings, Mike, 16-6. The first one. This is where it all started. Obviously, a couple years prior with the immaculate reception in the building of this empire, but this day in 1975 is when it all started with that 2-0 lead going into halftime.
Yes. But big old who got the sack?
I don't remember.
So I believe it was it LC Greenwood? Because I remember the player who got it, like he was sick because all the steel curtain, those 4 guys, they went out, they ate all this shrimp, and he got sick, couldn't make the team photo, It's like it was like still a sore subject with him. Like he never made the team photo. They didn't have him down there listed. Hey, not able to attend, and he scored the first 2 points for the Steelers in the Super Bowl game.
Nice.
I just remember watching that in one of the Steeler DVDs, and yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, I was still a seaman somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah, I wasn't even a thought.
I want to slide back for just a second. We were talking Pitt. A couple things real quick. Ben Sauls, the kicker for the Pitt football team this year. Mike, he did make the AP All Pro team. A lot of people don't realize was Ben Sauls, Mike, he kicked the 47-yard game-winning field goal, which everybody remembers, to win that game over UCLA in the Sun Bowl, 37-35. Mike, he was 5 for 5 in that game with a long of a 49-yard field goal. So you want to keep your eyes on this kid if you're, you're needing anemic maybe of kicking on your team in the NFL, because, like I said, he lit it up at the end of the year and he landed himself on the All Bowl team.
The All Bowl team.
The All Bowl team.
I never even heard of the All Bowl team, but
well, you did now, so shut up. So also, Mike, I'm fired up today, man.
I can tell.
The Pitt, they also lose yesterday. We talked about the game. The Gateway graduate made his way back through the portal to Pitt from LSU. But also, Mike, you recall the running back for the past couple seasons was running behind Izzy Abanikanda, Vincent Davis. Mike, we were losing Vincent Davis, the running back, into the transfer portal also. So you gain a little, you give a little. You like the portal because of its name.
I know I like the portal because I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
It gives these kids that were, overpromised something, and the coach can deliver, coach transfers, blah, blah, blah. Gives the kids a chance. I like it.
I do too.
It was Dwight White who got the safety. Dwight,
yeah. You know what? I met him one time.
He seemed like a cool dude.
Big as hell, dude. Like, I ain't shitting. And he was an old man when I met him. You know what I mean?
Then, now you look at these guys like, I wouldn't want to mess with Mean Joe Green, right? Even at his advanced age, he'd still fuck me up.
And this was before, obviously before Dwight White passed away.
Nah, you saw the ghost of Dwight White, and the ghost of Dwight White was still wanting recognition. He wants his name added to that photo.
Where the place I was working at the time, we had taken some of what I did to this restaurant. There was a certain event that was going on there, and Dwight White he was just there. He was invited, but it wasn't a Steeler anything like that. So we walk in, and my boss at the time, he was like, "Hey, there's Dwight White." I'm like, "Get the hell out of here," And because you want to meet him, I'm like, "Well, yeah, but don't make it weird. We just walked in the door,
Yeah.
So we walked. He was really, really awesome. Just such a big person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was just large, and still in his later years. But it was really cool getting to meet him, talk to him for a couple minutes, and shake his hand. So that was really cool, man.
Yeah.
And there it was, the guy that got the first safety in the first Super Bowl.
Yeah, Steelers' first 2 points Steelers ever scored.
I gotta make a confession. I've never heard of the All Bowl team either, Mike. I was just
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how you've been sitting on for years. I know this. I'm gonna Trump
Mike
here.
Yeah. I'm gonna wait till the 226th episode of our show to even bring it up.
To never talk about it every day. Yeah. We talk sports off air.
No, I had to insult you to make myself not look as bad.
But I want to know, did anyone who did not make the All Bowl team from Pitt pull the Cam Hayward and tweet out, "Shake my head"? That's the important question. That's
apparently that only happens to guys from Ohio State. I don't know. Mike, also Pittsburgh Steeler news. You remember last summer, unfortunately, tragically, Charles Johnson, the Steelers' former number 1 receiver, I believe it was during the times of Cordell Stewart, who we spoke about recently.
Yes, it was.
He was found deceased last summer. It just came in over the past couple of days. It was an overdose suicide. I like CJ, man. He was also a Colorado. He came out of Colorado just a year or two before Cordell came out.
Yeah.
Number 81. I liked him. He was good. He was solid for the time and what we were doing at the time. He was a pretty damn good receiver.
For the way the team played. Yeah, I always liked CJ. He was always
Troy Edwards was another guy on that team. You remember Troy Edwards? And
I remember Troy. He had a damn good rookie year. Then after that, he just lost it.
One receiver that I thought could have really had a great career, Mike, but it was cut short for stupid reasons. Santonio Holmes. That guy was a big play
Mhm.
threat every time he touched the ball. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think there's the thing. I don't even think people remember how good he was. You remember?
Oh, he
I
was
just remember late in the games, him getting the ball and making it happen. He would,
yeah.
do what he had to do, get in the open field,
Mhm.
make it happen, and he won games at the end of the games by
Oh, yeah.
huge plays he made
But
just by his
yeah.
talents and finding his way to the end zone. Boy, we missed out with him over some weed is
Yeah, that's
crazy.
all it is, like, it was weed. Oh, oh god, no. Oh, no, he
And
smoked
look, here
some
it is. It's,
weed.
it's legal everywhere here. So
Yeah,
you know what I
like
mean? Crazy shit, man.
Montavious, Bryant.
Yeah, he was another one. And
He
and
was
and
a
the
great oh, he smoked weed, oh, he's a degenerate, get him out of the league.
And
No!
Blunt. I mean,
Oh, right.
the running back
It
from New England. These are
yeah,
guys, Mike, that were very talented and were really starting to do big things for the Steelers. And then you get caught with a little bit of devil's lettuce, and now
yeah,
you can't play on our team no more. You got to go
right?
home.
Like, it's like the league would want these players at that time to, like, be hopped up on pills. I still remember when, Brett Favre tested positive for all those pain pills, and nothing happened. Nothing happened. Did not get suspended, nothing happened. It was a big old everywhere in the sports world. It was like, "Oh, poor Brett. Oh, poor Brett." But these guys smokes weed. I'll gotta suspend him, gotta get rid of him.
It's
BS.
wild, Mike. I don't get it.
I don't get it. Like all that talent just wasted because why? Because they like to smoke weed and not take pills to deal with pain.
and guys in the 80s and the 90s were doing cocaine like it was no
Right?
thing in all major sports.
Yeah.
I can't believe weed is really making this.
Yeah, I know,
Like I said,
right?
look at the talent we lost out on. Mike
Yeah.
Blunt and Bryant and
Bryant and Holmes are the two biggest ones, man.
Santonio Holland. I can't believe. Look at his
I
career. Look. You know what I mean? He was perfect for us, and we were perfect for
mhm.
him. We made him a superstar immediately. And what happened to him when he left? He went to the Jets. They stink. They
Yeah,
really.
everyone who goes to the Jets ends up sucking.
Why does everybody go there when their career ends?
I think no, he got traded there. We traded him to the Jets.
Speaking of the Jets, Mike,
Mhm.
the New York Jets fired their offensive coordinator over the past couple of days because the offense up there in New York averaged 17 points a game. Here in Pittsburgh, our offense averaged 18 points a game.
So we know the baseline's 17 to get fired.
um, and I know it's beating a dead horse at this point. This seems to be a lot of what everyone's talking
Mhm.
about this week. Why is Matt Canada still here? He has a contract. I mean, he's on contract through
Yeah.
2023. I mean, it's not likely unless, like I said, they are they're going to do things right in Pittsburgh. I think if they let him go, it's going to be done right. They're going to, get together behind closed doors with the right
Yeah.
people, have
Yeah.
long meetings, and do what they have to do. But like I said, you have 1 year left on your contract. They're going to use the argument that the offense got, considerably better in the second half of the season, which really irks me because the thing is, it's going through the motions at that point. Now you're basically just doing it because you don't want to, you don't want to go
Yeah.
against the contract. You don't want to be a dick. You don't want to fire this guy. You did a little bit better. And if we have to go through another season of these jet sweeps, Mike, I just don't know how people are going to get through this.
Hey, as long as they give the jet sweeps to Connor Hayward and Derek Watt, they that's the only time I've seen them work for the most part. Watt for
Yeah.
his little 1 year touchdown runs and Hayward for those nice little gains. But yeah, the Canada's offense, it's terrible. It's terrible. It's terrible. I don't think they're not going to fire him. They're not going to fire him. You keep hearing saying, oh, the offense improved throughout the year. His play calling got better throughout the year. You know, Kenny likes him. Najee likes him. They're not
Mike, can
going to
I
get rid of
honestly
him.
give you my opinion? Not to cut you off. I just want you to
No,
hear me
no, no.
for a
You're
second.
good.
It seemed to me like he dumbed down the offense early in the season. You got your young quarterback. There's a lot on the plate. The guy has to learn this. Okay. So as time goes on, I thought to myself, as we start to improve, so would the play calling.
Mm-hmm.
And as time went on, the play calling changed a little bit, but it was still a bunch of the same. And I
Yeah.
know teams they call, they use the same plays all the time. But it's Mike, it's like he didn't, or if maybe he's even under order just to take a certain pace with what we're doing because a lot of things that come back on Tomlin, he doesn't seem too concerned. He's like, no, this is how we want to do it. This is the way we
Yeah.
planned on doing it. So I mean, was it is he put in that position, and maybe that's why Tomlin isn't so fast to say anything, because if they're all involved, how can he turn around and say something about Matt
Yeah.
Canada? So I'm just under the impression, I don't know what's really going on, because I mean, if he's under order to do so, but it just seemed to me like early in the season that it was going to get better as it got better. And
Yeah.
when it started to get better, that part didn't get better. We still, here's the thing: you started to see those plays working,
Yeah.
some of them, because now the offensive line is blocking better. Now
Yeah.
our running back is running better. Now our
Mhm.
quarterback looks at her. So you see things happening, but you never really see what Canada and the offensive planning people with strategy and coaches, you just never seen that leaf get turned over, as far as, well, let's start pulling off the training wheels in a sense.
Yeah.
He stayed with the training wheels on all the way to the end, whether we got better or whether we didn't. And that's one thing that confuses me. I mean, so we really we coming down on the right person? I don't think that we know, Mike. I mean, this could be an overall decision. And
Yeah.
you think, like I said, at some point the head coach would walk over to his coordinator and say, okay, what's going on? We're only scoring X amount of points a game. So, there's definitely more that meets the eye. I
Yeah.
just don't think it's cold cut. You know what? We got to can this guy. He stinks. Whether he does or he doesn't, it's, you really have to figure out what's going on, because to me it seems like they went through the motions all the way to the end.
Yeah. And they ran the ball more too this year. They ran the ball, and then you saw the running numbers improve a little, and that's what the owner wanted. The owner wanted the return to stellar football. We got to
Yeah,
pound the ball. Even never mind the fact that the league has gone to a more passing league, and we really haven't kept up since like we had Ben, Bell, and AB, when we were able to do a lot more passing when Ben was healthy. But now it's like it's got to get back to running the ball, running the ball, running the ball. And I think there's a lot of like the organization doesn't know what it wants to do philosophically. I think on offense, they try and want to be a power run team, but they also want to do these zone run schemes. They want to offense coordinator wants to run jet sweeps. They still want to run screen passes, and I just don't know if they know what they want to do offensively.
yeah.
They know what they want to do defensively. They just don't know what they want to do offensively, and you just I don't know because
I think
I don't
whatever
know.
Mike
I'm at a
Tomlin,
loss trying to figure out what the hell is going on with
what
this
this team
offense.
decides to do with Matt Canada this offseason, I think is going to tell a lot.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, you're going to know who's involved, who's not.
Hmm.
If Canada's really that out of it, we're going to find that out. Because, like I said, if it was a team, if it was an overall strategy, then you know what, it worked. You slowed things
Yeah.
down for the season. You wanted to get everybody to have
Hmm.
this kind of season, and we ended up doing a little better than we were probably supposed to near the end. So let's keep a close eye,
Yeah.
because if it wasn't just Canada, he's probably not going to go anywhere.
Yeah. And I just remember like that last year, 2 years, like when Ben was here, it's like, I'll wait till Canada's offense gets in. There's going to be a lot more motion. There's going to be all these, bootlegs and rolling out of moving the pocket and all that. You saw it here and there, but it wasn't as extensive as everyone was making out to be. Like he was some offensive guru.
Yeah,
So, like, or was it just people in the media overselling this guy because they kind of wanted to shit on Ben his last year here? And now they're realizing, oh no, he didn't live up to our hype, so now we gotta can him. We want him gone. He's a bum. This, that, the other. So I just don't know. I don't know if he has an identity, and the media, the majority of the Steeler media sold everyone a bill of goods just so they had someone to attack, or if it did work out to go CCC, it was this bum who held on for too long. So
yeah,
it's hard to get an objective opinion on him other than like you see his play calling, but you have to realize too, one, that offensive line sucked for the first half of the year. Mitch didn't play well the first half of the year. Um, Pickett didn't play well his first half of the year. Najee didn't play well his first half of the year. Deontay was terrible this year. So
yeah.
can you really judge the offense?
That's what I'm saying. When you sit back
Can you
and
really
look at it,
judge
Mike,
him? But you said, a lot of the plays are like similar plays and stuff, but is that the limitation of the
right?
players that were there at the time? It's I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to get a complete view, but when we played these teams that were our level and a little below, we were blowing them out of the water. We kept up with Miami. The only ones we really had trouble with were Buffalo and
Literally those two
Philadelphia.
games, Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do I want us to score more points? Yeah.
That's the next step, obviously. Obviously, scoring more points is going to be the big thing moving forward. What they
Yeah.
do, Kenny is talking a lot about getting together with these guys during the offseason, putting a lot of work
Mhm.
in and trying to grow together to come out next
Mhm.
season and be ahead of the game.
Yeah.
So, we're going to do a lot of talking between then and now, but we will see.
I
Mike,
just
of
real quick,
yeah,
there like it happened with like both quarterbacks who played this year. They'll break down plays and you'll see on replays on Twitter, YouTube, wherever, like of receivers running open from
yeah,
the play design and the quarterback's not seeing them. Now, is that them being told to play it safe or them just not seeing it? What's going on
right.
there? So there were plays that were there. Just why weren't they being connected?
And that's the thing that comes back to
And if those
coaching
plays
with
hit,
me.
the whole thing's different. The whole conversation changes.
And there's been a few times that we've been watching some of these games and you heard the ref or the announcers make a comment. Wow, you could tell that this receiver, he made the wrong cut or
Yeah.
vice versa. So I mean, there's a lot, Mike,
Yeah.
that
Why are these two receivers here? This is there's something
and the thing
wrong.
is, there is issues. We have to hope after a whole entire season that they could come and
Yeah.
go into this offseason and fix these things. If not, then maybe we should start talking about changing some coaches. But this season, Mike, and we're going to get into it here in just a second. It was for what it was supposed to be and what it ended up being. I thought it ended up being a semi-success. People like the mid radio personality in town here, he says that it was a terrible season. It was no success. It was nothing like that. The mid, obviously, I'm talking about Mark Madden, who called Deontay Johnson a mid receiver. Mike, do you agree with Mark Madden?
Yeah, on that one I do. Yeah.
I think
It
he's lower
was
than a mid. I'm going to be
no,
honest with
he's
you.
uh
Like he scored
like
zero. Listen,
zero
and
touchdowns, yeah, but like
before we start saying, because okay, we didn't have this was going wrong. Think of what we just said about Santonio Holmes. That guy
yeah,
could touch the ball at any point on that field and figure
yeah.
out a way to get it in the end zone.
Hmm.
Mike, this guy is not an $18 million number one receiver, in my
Oh
opinion.
no.
You
Not
know,
for like I'll pull up his stats because we know zero touchdowns.
yeah,
Like he 882 yards. That's mid receiver right there. He's only averaging 51 yards per game. He was a mid wide receiver. He was a nice number 2 receiver.
number two. And
Number 2.
where he'd be nice? He'd be nice in Chicago. We're seeming to dump a lot of our shit over there. Let's take Deontay
Like
Johnson and Chase Claypool and see how great the
where
Bears
he
become.
he would thrive in Kansas City.
Yeah. Anybody, I
With
would thrive in
that wide
Kansas
open,
City.
yeah, I know. Look at Juju.
Yeah,
He needs to be in a pass happy team to thrive. He's
right.
a mid wide receiver.
Mike, here's one interesting fact. The fact that you just mentioned the Kansas City Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes is the oldest quarterback in the AFC side of the bracket this year, Mike. Patrick Mahomes is the old man.
I
Wow.
remember when he was the young man.
Yeah.
I like that is insane. I that just shows you, man, how this league has changed,
I
man.
like it. I like that
We've
guy.
had he's what? He's 27 years old and he's
And
the
he's the
old
old
man.
man.
That is nuts. That is nuts. He's gonna play for another 10 years.
Rock and roll people don't. I mean, that's their whole entire life. They don't make it out of 20. Past
My
27.
God. He I feel way to make me feel down about myself.
Oh, because you're old.
Well, you're
Mike,
older than
also,
me.
we were talking about Cam briefly just a moment ago. Cam, where we're at about Cam. We talk about Cam often. Cam, Mike, recorded 5.5 sacks over the last 4 weeks of the season, which only placed him behind two other defensive players in the league. Mike, if we can figure out a way to stretch this guy out to play a whole season, he might be a pretty damn good defensive lineman.
Yeah.
But you know what? He's not that guy. He comes out every year. He
So,
tells us he's that guy, but
yeah.
yet it just doesn't happen. He doesn't bring it. He waits till, like I said, he's kind of
Yeah.
spurty. He's kind of, and what he did, Mike, in the last 4 weeks, the last 4 games,
Yeah.
he got 5.5 sacks, which is totally awesome if he would also do something similar to that the rest of the season.
So in the other 13 games he had 5 sacks.
Yeah. Well, yeah, right.
Yeah, it's terrible. That
So
is
look, yeah.
bad.
You want to talk about how good this 5.5 sacks is in the last 4?
But
Let's talk about
again,
how bad
yeah.
5 sacks is over
Like
13
I don't know
weeks.
if I don't know if it was like on air or off air. I mentioned the fact that he put up those numbers. Now people will point to them, say, look, he had this. I was on Twitter the other day. Someone's criticizing him. They're like, well, he had 10.5 sacks. Yeah, but they came late. Some of these were
Like you said,
meaningless
5 sacks in
sacks.
13 games,
Yeah, it's
12 games. I mean,
kind of
that's
like
crazy.
Highsmith without Watt there, his production was
Yeah.
nothing. So it's like, and that and how people did not pick up on what Cam said when they had that All Pro lineup when it was just Mink on the defense, and he goes shaking my head,
Yeah.
and people were like, "Yeah, Cam, you should have been on there. You should have been on there. You should have been on there." Like no one was going, "Why? Why didn't you congratulate your teammate? Why didn't you congratulate your teammate? Why didn't you stick up for Highsmith saying, "Hey, where's he at?" Why did like he made it all about him, and
With an exception of
he
4
gets no
games, I mean,
blowback for
why
it.
do you think you deserve to be on that? You know, or that's the thing about him, Mike. It's always things kind of get delusional when Cam Hayward is involved
It
because,
is
like I
too
said, he'll
because
say
he's
something and fans believe it because they love the
yeah,
guy.
and he's buddies with everyone in the media.
Yeah,
He will tell them whatever they want to hear, how they want to hear it. He knows how to play the media. He's buddy with them. They all love him. He loves all them. And so you can't criticize him. You cannot criticize his play. He is always above reproach. It's just annoying.
Mike. Now he'll be around for a few more. I mean, he came out. He said he's not ready to retire yet. His little brother, of course, Connor Hayward, believes that Cam has 3 or 4 years left after Cam said he's not ready to retire just yet. 3 or 4 more years left, Mike. I don't know what his contract is, but do you see him being here for 3, 4 more years here in Pittsburgh?
I do, unfortunately. I unfortunately see that happening.
That's wild, you know.
I don't want it to happen. His contract needs to go. They need to find a way to shed that cap hit, do whatever they can, and move on from him. But they won't because
Because he's
he's just
Cam.
he's Cam.
He's
He's
Cam.
just a great 3-4
It's
defender.
nice to be that guy. Just yeah,
Yeah,
I don't want to. Yeah, you just get these guys that everyone likes. You know what
yeah,
I mean?
yeah. I don't get it. Dude, I'm gonna need you to carry the show for like 3 minutes.
All right, go
Sorry
ahead.
about this, everyone. I will be
No,
back in like
you're
three
all
to four
right.
minutes.
You're all right. I'm going to talk a little bit about the best defense. The best defense in the playoffs this year. Out of all the teams that are playing, Buffalo, Dallas, the Chargers, Philly, Minnesota, Baltimore, Miami, Kansas City, San Francisco, Jacksonville, Cincinnati, Giants, Tampa Bay, and Seattle. It's questionable, and a lot of times, it's known that defense wins championships. But when it comes down to it, and you look at these teams, what teams do you think would have the advantage because of their defense? I'm looking at teams like Philadelphia. That defense it was solid all season long. It had little trip ups near the end of the year. However, they were able to maintain a solid defense the whole way through. And it was an intimidating defense. When we played them, it was nothing to laugh at. This defense, Mike had they had 4 different players, the first team in NFL history to have 4 different players that have double-digit sacks, which is amazing in itself. So, I mean, out of any teams in the playoff bracket this year that could win the game with their defense, which I don't even think they need to, you get Jalen Hurts back in your lineup. Their receiving core. This team is solid. I personally, because of the colors that I wear, I don't want to see the Philadelphia team win the Super Bowl. However, they do have a good chance, and certainly one of the better chances out of the NFC. I said it earlier. My NFC teams in the NFC Championship game are going to be the Philadelphia Eagles and the San Francisco 49ers. And with that being said, I think that would be just an amazing game, even if it wasn't the playoffs with all the talent that San Francisco has on offense and the stout defense of Philadelphia. And then you flip the coin and you look at the talent to the offense of Philadelphia and the defense, the amazing one of the top defenses as the year went on in San Francisco. So, as far as defensive play, those 2 teams I think can win a championship from their defense. But you know what? Most of the time, they're not gonna need it because their offenses are really tough. But when it comes down to it, they do have that, and that's what I think make those 2 teams the front runner in the NFC. Mike, I'm talking about some defenses, the best defenses in the bracket this year out of the
Ooh.
NFC. I just started talking about which teams have a defense that could win because defense wins championships. Now I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking these teams, Mike, they're not only good defensively, but Philadelphia and San Fran got really good defenses. But on
Yes.
the other side of the ball, you're not really even going to need your defense to win games for you a lot of times because of all the talent they have on the offensive side of the ball. So
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
two teams in the NFC are my big teams for having the better defenses. On the offensive, or I'm sorry, on the AFC side, I think just by default, Kansas City. Kansas City's defense is good, and the
I
reason I have to give these kind of teams an advantage because the teams that got real good defenses, they're not going to win. And let me explain: the Baltimore Ravens,
mhm.
they're not going to win the Super Bowl. If they do, it will be a true defensive miracle that will make that happen.
Yeah.
But from the teams that I think actually have a possibility, San Francisco, Philadelphia, Kansas City, and the other team, Mike, it's either going to come out between Cincinnati, the Bengals, and the Buffalo Bills. I'm not real seeing eye to eye with the Buffalo Bills this week, so I'm going to, against everything I have, put Cincinnati in that championship game. So who, Mike,
Ooh.
between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Cincinnati Bengals defense, do you think would give their team an advantage in the championship game if that came down
I
to it?
would get I'm gonna go with the Bengals because I pulled up the stats right now. The Bengals defense, they're giving up 20 points a game. Kansas City's 21 points a game. Kansas City's defense is actually kind of like in the middle of the table.
Okay.
And it looks like yeah, point wise, they're middle of the table. Cincinnati's higher up. They're looking like to be a better defensive team, but it neither defense really wows me. It's like both of those teams are predicated on offense. Like
Right.
they have to score.
And that's been the case. I mean, with those four teams that we just mentioned, there's a very good chance of being our championship weekend between Philadelphia, San Francisco, Cincinnati, and
Mhm.
Kansas City. It's the same thing for all four of those teams. Like they all have really good offenses, and it shouldn't come down to their defense. But if it does, they got a good defense. So,
Yeah, yeah. If you can't, yeah, yeah.
um,
I'm just at a loss of trying to figure out like in this era of football, you can have a dominant offense and average defense, or an average offense and a dominant defense. It's hard to have both
yeah.
right now in this league, and I think Philly and San Francisco are the closest you're getting to that of
And
having
my
two
two
above average.
and my two teams that I don't think are going to be in the final four at the end of the playoffs, one from the AFC, one from the NFC, but do have really good defenses, Mike. I think Dallas on the NFC side and Buffalo on the AFC side. Those are going to be alternative my alternative teams to my picks. So those six teams right there, I think, got really good defenses. Those six teams right there can win a lot of football games with just their offense. I don't think they're going to need the D, but they do have it to on top of everything else. So a couple things, Mike. Where are we at? 17 minutes left. I wanted to talk about the Mike Tomlin now. Mike, this is something that a lot of people have been talking about. There's a lot of debate, a lot of controversy, but it's the 16 season non-losing streak that Mike Tomlin has. I think I think it's a little of both sides. And the thing is, I'm watching everybody argue. I'm seeing people that's talking about how this is a great thing. I'm looking at people they're talking about how this is not a great thing. It's okay that he has 16
Mhm.
non-losing seasons, but how's his playoffs? Mike, I want to take the next 10 minutes or so. Let's talk about each one of these seasons. I have it right here in front of me
Okay.
of Mike Tomlin's playoff history. Let's just kind of go down through them and just try to see if we can make sense of what everybody's talking about. I mean, it's obvious, and I'm happy for him that he did accomplish what he has. But I also, Mike, I want to dig a little bit deeper and figure out what's going on. And so let's take a look at his list of playoff history. Back
Let's
in
do this.
'07. What's that?
Let's do this.
Back in '07, Mike, his first time that he made the playoffs, he lost to David Garrard in that would be Jacksonville. And it was including a blown fourth quarter lead. So he had a lead. We had a lead in that game, and we
Mhm.
ended up losing it in the fourth quarter. Good.
No, I was gonna say I remember that game. I remember that season. That was the season, like his very first season as Steelers coach, correct?
Yes.
And that was like, yeah, he had that hard physical training camp of like, all right, to show everyone like I'm the new guy in charge. So by the
Right.
time they made it to the playoffs, I think they were a dead team.
2008 was the year that Tom Brady tore his ACL. He was out for the year, and we won the Super Bowl.
Hmm.
So we beat the Chargers at home without they didn't have their leading rusher, Danian Tomlinson, in that game. And then the next game, we beat the rookie Joe Flacco at home.
Hmm.
And then we beat the 9-7 Cardinals with 40-year-old Kurt Warner including a blown 16-point lead in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, because the defense choke, Palomalo couldn't cover Ike and Troy let. Oh God, Larry Fitz run away, and then Big Ben, baby, Big Ben coming in.
So that then what you're talking about next, it could have been the MVP for the next decade, in my opinion, if we would have kept Santonio Holmes around. But unfortunately, we did not, and that was the high point of Mike Tomlin's career. But let me move on. Let's move on. Let's see. The following year, 2009, no playoffs. They lost 4 of 7 against below 500 teams. 2010, we beat Joe Flacco at home. We beat Mark Sanchez at home. And then that was the year we lost to the 6 seed Packers in the Super Bowl. So those were
the game. The defense blew that one.
So those are the highlights. We've got through the good part of his career. Now let's get to the part of his career that wasn't so good as talking about playoffs. So that was the first 4 years. 2011, we were a 1 and done against Tim Tebow and his 8-8 Broncos, despite being a 7.5 point favorite. I think we all remember that game. I waited to go to work till after that game was over, and I wish that I wouldn't have.
That defense, baby, that defense collapsing.
Tebow hits, I can't remember the fella's name, but he took the ball all the way down the field in the first play of overtime, burning Ike Taylor and maybe a couple other guys to finish off the Pittsburgh Steelers. 2012, no playoffs, 4 of 8 losses against sub 500 teams. 2013, no playoffs, 3 of 8 losses against sub 500 teams. 2014, 1 and done at home against Joe Flacco and the 6-seeded Ravens.
Is that the year the Ravens won all the way?
14. I don't know, but I was at this game. I had taken my son.
See, that's why they lost.
You know what? I hated it because when everyone left, all that was there was Ravens fans, and you could see in the Heinz Field at the time was just all these Ravens jerseys, and it was like they ran the place, and it was disgusting, man. Okay, so that 2015 we beat backup AJ McCarron. And then we lost to a 39-year-old Peyton Manning, including a blown fourth quarter lead.
Who was that against? The Broncos?
Yeah.
Who went on to win the Super Bowl? With that amazing defense, by the way.
2016, we beat backup Matt Moore at home. Then we kicked 6 field goals to beat Alex Smith. And then we were embarrassed by the Patriots in the AFC Championship game.
You lost to a juggernaut.
1 and done the following year. We lost to Blake Bortles in 2017.
Oh, that's the one where Cam Hayward and Stephon Tuitt were getting run all over, and Ben kept throwing the ball to Rasheed Mathis again.
2018, no playoffs. Lost 4 of final 6 games to miss the playoffs.
We're gonna unleash hell in December.
2019, no playoffs. Lost 3 to miss the playoffs. 1 of 8 wins against teams above 500 that season. And then let's see, 2020, 1 and done. 1 and done at home against Baker Mayfield, playing without a head coach in his first playoff game.
Is that the one where Pouncey snapped the ball over Ben's head? The offense couldn't do anything. Yeah, that was the great performance by Ben and Pouncey in the O-line.
I mean, so the past 15 years. I mean, there's an excuse for everything. I just can't believe that. It comes down to coaching, man. And at some point, you got to be able to have a season where you don't have a guy snap the ball over somebody's head to lose.
Yeah. Tomlin told him to go out there and snap it over his head. Tomlin,
Mike, you're really missing the point again. You really. You kind of blow my mind in a sense. You take something and you just turn it around into something we're not even talking about.
No, we're talking about these games, and
like we went through 15 seasons, and you made it sound like these should have all been Super Bowl wins. I don't get you. I mean,
I didn't make it sound like they should have all been Super Bowl wins.
We lost to a juggernaut. We lost to
we lost to the greatest franchise in NFL history, in the Patriots. I was just pointing out what happened in these games. Apparently that's not allowed. It's not allowed.
No, that's not allowed.
Oh, okay.
It was Peyton Manning's, Baker Mayfield's first playoff game. They didn't have a head coach. They lost 5 of their final 6 after starting 11-0.
Yeah, that was the one where like every pundit and every NFL pundit said this team is not that good and look out what's going to happen, and they were right. That team was
Everybody.
not that
And the
good.
thing was, I couldn't believe the people that bought into the fact that they were really good at 11-0. I mean, every game was
Every
like
game was
every
a close
game this
game.
year, but they
Yeah, it
just
was like a
ended up
nail
on
biter.
the right side. You know what I mean?
So yeah,
We just said that, Mike. I don't know what's the answer.
I don't like.
Give me an answer. That's what I want an
Let me
answer
ask you
from
a
you.
question. Did when you watch these games and they were winning these games in the regular season, did you like, oh, this is fun to watch? They won
That's a
games. They made it
question.
in, yeah. Did you have fun in those years when they were winning games and making it to the playoffs? Did you have fun?
I love football. I have fun watching every football game I ever watch.
Okay,
I
that's
mean,
all that
to
matters. To
some
me as a
degree.
fan, am I entertained? Am I entertained? Yes, I was entertained in those games. I was upset they lost in the playoffs, but I moved on. The game's over. All right, move on.
But that's again, it's not the
But I
point. The
don't know.
point.
Maybe it's because I've become more jaded. No, I don't want to say jaded, more pragmatic of going, okay, I know we can't win every single playoff game. I know we
Which
can't
is
win the Super
fine.
Bowl every year,
That's
but we should have won a couple more of those playoff games. Should they
yes.
have won another Super Bowl? They should have won that one against the Packers.
And again, like I said, I enjoy football all the time. I say this, I say this at this point when people were talking about contracts and getting, you're trying to get a high draft pick. And I always say, I just want to enjoy the game. Should this team go to the playoffs? No, they stink. They shouldn't go. They're going to be one and done. I just enjoy watching my football.
Yeah.
So yes, to answer your question, I do. I enjoy watching them. But my question, Mike, the question here is, I mean, this is 15 years of playoff, with the exception of 1 year, 2 years, disaster. I mean, Tim Tebow.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy got thrown out of the league because he can't throw a ball, and he threw a game-winning touchdown.
But the thing is, like all year, that's what happened against when teams played the Broncos. There'd be a fluke play at the end of the game, and that's how they would win.
And we couldn't figure out how to stop that. We couldn't figure out how to stop a guy that had no throwing talent.
Yeah, because Dick LeBeau decides, hey, I'm going to call an all-out blitz here.
A one and done to a 6 seed, another loss to a 6 seed. We lose the Super Bowl to a 6 seed. I mean, these are games, Mike, that you would assume that really good coaches, which a lot of people
we
are
lost
calling
to a
Mike
6 seed,
Tomlin.
but we also lost to one of the better quarterbacks in the league. We forget
Joe
Aaron Rodgers.
Flacco?
No, Aaron Rodgers. Aaron
okay,
Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. We have one of the greatest of all times too. Someone had to lose that game, and it just so happened to be us. So okay, we lost to Aaron Rodgers, a Hall
So you're
of Famer.
defending all the losing for the past 15 years.
All the losing. I'm trying to figure out
where
them into
coming
context. Context. I'm putting things into context
with your narrative, of course.
No, I'm laying out facts that happen. You can't.
But Mike,
look at it. If you're just going to look at the schedule in a vacuum, here's your narrative: a backup. This quarterback. Oh, that quarterback. Oh, this.
No,
team
I'm reading. Mike, listen. I'm reading exactly what's on this page. I'm not. I have no narrative.
Okay. I'm reading exactly what's on my page. They lost to Aaron Rodgers, a future Hall of Famer. They lost to Tom Brady in the New England Patriots, a juggernaut. They lost
AJ
to
McCarron. Let's go over them all. Let's do that. David Garrard.
That doesn't matter.
Rookie Joe Flacco.
That doesn't matter.
Tim Tebow.
Now that's your narrative.
Now
this is your narrative.
Exactly.
This is your
if
narrative.
You're going to do it your way. Then I'm doing it this way.
You did that. You already listened off.
Look,
and I get my rebuttal, and you don't.
I'm going to show you exactly what I'm reading from. And I added no. None of my own.
What is the source? Because all I'm seeing is a white page.
I don't know, Mike. Fuck. Here's the thing. I'm not doing this with you.
Are we going for like Steelers Depot?
Mike, we have 5 minutes left. I mean, seriously, you want me to go digging for sources here? I'll get you the source. I'll get it tomorrow. I just let me. Well, you think I'm making this up? You think I'm making
No, because that's the narrative of everyone's going to put it like their spin on it. Oh, they lost to this quarterback who was a rookie,
which we did.
But they're not taking in a fact. Everyone else on that team, the situations, the play calling on the offense, play calling on the defense. Did a player?
You know why Andy Reid don't miss the playoffs?
Because he has one of the best young quarterbacks in the league.
You know why good coaches have success in the playoffs?
What did he do before he had Patrick Mahomes? He lost.
He was in Philadelphia going.
He lost
championship game.
How many
Super Bowls?
How many Super Bowls? How many Super Bowls? Zero.
Mike,
zero Super Bowls.
How many times they go to the playoffs every single year?
Oh, but when Tomlin does it and loses, that's a bad thing. Okay.
We haven't been to the playoffs.
That's okay. When Holmgren goes to the playoffs and loses, that's okay. But not Mike Tomlin.
Again, we're not talking about these people.
No. You brought up Andy Reid. You brought up Andy Reid.
What I'm talking about.
You brought up Andy Reid. You brought up Andy Reid.
Right. And he is very successful in the playoffs. We
with
had a
Patrick Mahomes.
dude, the whole entire career Tomlin was here, we had a Hall of Fame quarterback.
Yeah, and
with the exception of this year.
Yeah,
so shouldn't a Hall of Fame quarterback
also had
qualify us
Donovan
for the playoffs because it does with Patrick Mahomes?
He had Donovan McNabb. He had Donovan McNabb, borderline Hall of Famer. Then he has
Ben
Patrick Mahomes,
Roethlisberger, fifth best receiver in the history of the game, or quarterback in the history of the game.
Yeah,
that is under.
And we made the playoffs. We made the playoffs,
and we lost to David Gerard. We lost to Tim Tebow. We lost to a rookie, Joe Flacco. We lost
with Baltimore's great defense, one of the greatest defense of all time.
The list continues.
Bengals. Yeah, well, that AJ McCarron game, was that the one where Lev Bell blows out his knee? We had no running game.
No, that was against somebody else. That was against Cincinnati, wasn't it?
Yeah, AJ McCarron played for the Bengals.
Oh, okay. You lose the guy, Mike. That's football. You don't think any of these teams have people that are injured that are good?
No, I'm putting these.
We're not spoiled.
I'm adding context. I'm adding context.
I'm
adding context.
Terrible in the playoffs.
I'm adding context. That's context. I'm adding context to the situation.
I'm sorry. About what?
I'm adding context into what happened in these games, the situations, what happened in these games.
Blake Bortles was another one.
Yeah, where our defense couldn't stop the run. They were just able to run all over some control.
The first playoff game, they didn't even have a head coach.
Yeah, the offense collapsed that game.
So that's what I'm saying. These are things that need to be fixed, Mike. Obviously, Kansas City's offense isn't collapsing to not make the playoffs. Obviously, so
they didn't collapse. They made it to that game, and then they fall apart.
We have that figured out. This is why we lost this game. This is why we lost that game. Bell got whatever.
I'm pointing out.
What is your final assessment, Mike, of his tenure while being coaching C+?
Yeah, C+. Got us to the playoffs more often than not, kept us in contention. One game was played under Mike Tomlin where there was one game that didn't count to make the playoffs. One game that had no meaning. One game in 16 years. I will take that. See, every single game we played has meant something except for one game.
And they couldn't succeed. They weren't successful in those games, Mike.
One game that didn't matter. That's fine. I'll take a C+. This guy, hey, he gets you. The teams are competitive.
Regular season, I give this guy an A. Postseason, I give this guy a D. It's that much of a swing, Mike. He's one of the best. One of the best regular season coaches ever. Not a good playoff coach.
Neither is Andy Reid, who you brought up.
Okay, I mean, this guy's been in how many championship games alone?
He's been 2. He's been to
4 in Philadelphia.
No, Super Bowls. Let's talk Super Bowls here. The only one that
championship games. I was answering what you were saying. So he had.
Yeah, I meant Super Bowls. He's 1 and 2 in Super Bowls. Tomlin's 1-1. Tomlin has
for him, but the rest of his playoffs, Mike, he's getting there. He's winning games. Is the point? The point is we're not winning games. I mean,
I pointed out why the game. I pointed out why the game.
Western Pennsylvania that does not see the fact that we're just not winning games.
No, I see that we're not winning games, but I'm putting.
But you think that it's average that's okay?
No, I'm putting it into context. Why we didn't lose games? What happened in these games? What happened leading up to the games? What happened with personnel in game during the game? What happened in these games?
That's what we're trying to figure out.
You can't just look at the final score and who played and go, up, they should have won. Up, that they lost, they should have won. Well, I'm looking at why. Why did they lose? What happened in game for them to lose?
Like they stunk. I'm going through all these 6.
Yeah, that's on the players. That's on the players. And coaches coach, players play. If players can't execute, that's on the players.
What if the players are doing well and the coaching's bad? Which a lot of times you see is the case. I mean, how many times have you seen situations where people are complaining after a playoff loss that, why did he go for it on 4th and 3? Why did he not do this?
Everyone's going to every fan base is going to say that about every coach. Why didn't they do this? Why didn't they do that?
Absolutely. But I mean, there are reasons you could point back to is what I'm saying.
He's not the guy out there throwing interceptions. He's not the guy fumbling. He's not the guy getting called for pass interference.
But he is the guy getting these people prepared, and the good coaches are winning games when they are prepared correctly.
Chuck Noll, who Western Pennsylvanians argues the greatest coach of all time, says,
I don't.
That is on you. If I have to get you up for a game to give you a motivational speech to get you ready for a game, that is on you. That is on you.
That's a nice
You should be able to get yourself up. And every player on those Super Steelers said, yeah, it was on us to get ourselves ready for the game.
That's good for them. That is
Oh, so
good
that
for
doesn't
them.
matter. So
Like, that's
that
not
doesn't
the
matter.
case. You have to know how to get people motivated. And if you're going
And
to walk
Tomlin does know how
around,
to get people motivated, and it's not if he gets them motivated and they go out there and choke on the game, that's on the players themselves. They were given the
I can't
appropriate
I
motivation.
can't give him a free pass and just say
But
that,
no,
you know what, this is
I'm
always
pointing
the
out that
players. I just
is it
can't. I
always the players?
can't.
No, it's hand in hand.
I
The
have
players and
15
coaches
years
have.
worth of notes here that's that all says that he couldn't get it done when we possibly
I got
should have.
15 years
And this
here of
wasn't even
notes that
great.
saying
This wasn't
players.
even against great teams. I mean, these are all pretty I mean, the teams, like, and
Yeah,
even the
the
teams that
teams
were
collapse. The
good,
teams, the
even teams
players
that were good
themselves.
were the 9-7 Cardinals against a 40-year-old quarterback. The
Who was
Packers.
still playing at a high
The
level
Packers were 6th seed. They should even been there. So,
with
Mike,
a Hall of Fame quarterback who was on
we had a Hall
like
of Fame
on the.
quarterback who has more passing yards, who has better. Mike, he had his better everything.
If you honestly think Ben Roethlisberger is better than Aaron Rodgers, you were
Yes,
smoking crack.
yes, and I'm going to send you something as soon as we go off the air because I had it right in front of me and I said I'm not going to use this today. I'm not going to need it. However, I am going to need it, but I'm going to send it over immediately after the show, and you're going to shit yourself at these
And I'm
numbers.
a huge Ben supporter, but if you think he's better than Aaron Rodgers, you're on to crack. I'm
Okay.
just putting these.
I want to do
games
this on
into
the
context.
air. I want to do this on
I'm
the
just
air,
putting
Mike,
these games
because I
into
believe that
context.
I want to show you how off you are. Let me pull it up real quick.
Or if we're using stats, I'm going to pull up the Kenny Pickett thing. You just watch the film. He
Mike,
looks
we're
so
literally
much
not
better.
talking. See, here's your thing. You
No.
stay on
I'm
subject.
just using. Or
All
I'm
right,
just
so here we
using your
go.
arguments that you've used for me against you.
Okay, here we go. Ben Roethlisberger, Aaron Rodgers. They both played 18 seasons.
Mhm.
Ben was from 04 to 21. Rodgers was 05 to 22. Super Bowl appearances. Ben had 3 and he won 2.
Mhm.
Aaron Rodgers had 1. He won 1. Ben had 13 playoff wins. Aaron Rodgers had 12 playoff wins. Ben is the 5th all-time passing leader. Aaron Rodgers is the 9th all-time passing leader. Ben is number 3 with fourth quarter comeback with 41.
Oh yeah, he's great in the fourth quarter.
Aaron Rodgers 28th in fourth quarter comebacks with 21. Ben number 1 in 500-yard passing games with 4 of them. Aaron Rodgers 0 with 500-yard passing games. Ben 166 wins. Aaron Rodgers 149 wins. So to say that Aaron Rodgers,
what's touchdowns and interceptions? What's completion
Mike,
percentage?
I mean, if you can't take that and say
No. I'm just.
I
want a full picture. I need.
Mike, I'm running out of time. You're pull it up. Hurry up. Hurry up.
No. I'll look it up for tomorrow.
So now you don't want to pull it up.
I'll look it up for tomorrow. I don't want to bring it up today.
Holy shit, with you. You're driving me nuts, you.
You're driving me nuts.
Like,
there we go. I got you to break.
A couple of things, other things before we go, Mike, that I did want to mention. We're going to talk about moving forward in the coming days. Vince McMahon selling the WWE to the Saudi investment group.
No, that's not true.
Apparently, we're going to debate that as well. Also, Mike, the Penguins was another thing I wanted to mention. Penguins are 99-9-5 when Gino and Sid both score in the same game, including a 55-6-1 record at home.
Holy schmoly.
And finally, Mike, the Pigeons. Everyone's talking about how well Minka played, how well Cam didn't play. Everyone's forgetting the Pigeons. There's games we wouldn't have won earlier in the season if it wasn't for those lucky Pigeons. Where were they at the end of the year? They should have been shitting on Jets and Dolphins and shit like that, right? But they weren't. But the Pigeons, Mike, I think were this season's MVP.
Why don't you know what? I can go with that.
I thought you were going to argue me and say, well, they're not really pigeons. If you really count the feathers that they have on their ass, you'll find out that they're talking. You know what? You'll find out they're a bird from New York that didn't live in New York since the 1980s, but they've been in Pennsylvania. Go ahead, tell everybody about the website.
I would. Website right down at the bottom. People, look, twodumbusers.com. Yes, down there we have links to. Actually, you go to twodumbusers.com. Boom, today's episode will be the first thing you see there. Then you scroll down, every other episode's there. If you don't like to watch on YouTube, you just like to listen. It's on Spotify. We have a link to that. We have a link to Anchor. We have links to, what else do we have links to? Facebook pages on there, emails on there, merchandise stores on there. Everything you need for Two Dumb Users. Is that twodumbusers.com?
.com. That was a great job, of course, by my Brian Piccolo. and you will. We are live here every day from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. right here. Continue to please keep checking us out. We appreciate each and every one of you. And if you missed this show, or you could just only listen to the show, this show here and the show that we do every day gets uploaded to Spotify at 8 o'clock in the evening. So this show here will be this evening at 8 o'clock. The show we do tomorrow morning will be tomorrow 8 o'clock. So there's no confusion. Check that out over on Spotify. Mike, do you have anything before we take off, man? Today was such a fast day, such a
It
fast
was a
show.
fast day. It was a good show. We had a nice heated debate.
Thursday.
Thunder Cunt. You were a Thunder Cunt.
Yes. Mike, do you want to do one quick trivia? Let's do one quick trivia, just because we haven't done trivia in a while.
Yeah, let's do a quick
This is
trivia.
a Super Bowl trivia. Super Bowl trivia. I had it written up, Mike, and I forgot. You started fighting and clawing and
I wasn't fighting anything.
Gouged my friggin' eyes. I couldn't tell what was going on around here. All right, so here's the question, Dave. Mike, this is a Super Bowl question. Are you ready?
I am ready.
What two teams are tied for the most Super Bowl losses? What two teams are tied for the most Super Bowl losses? And go.
Buffalo Bills, definitely. Definitely Buffalo Bills. We know that. I know Minnesota's lost a couple. The Bengals. Ooh. I think I know. I think I talked myself into the answer.
All right. So here we go. Mike pencils down the question of the day. It's a Super Bowl question because we're in the playoffs. We're not in the playoffs, but you know what I'm saying. Mike, the question of the day is, what two teams are tied for the most Super Bowl losses? Before you answer, I just want to say that Buffalo, Cincinnati, or Minnesota are not the answers.
Oh, shnikes.
There's actually two teams that had 5 losses.
New England Patriots.
Mm-hmm. And of course, Buffalo and Minnesota had 4 losses. Cincinnati had 3.
Dang. Oh man. Who's been there? The Packers? No. I don't know. I don't know the other one.
The answer is the Denver Broncos, Mike. They were 0-4 prior to.
Right.
They were 0-4, and then they won the 2 at the end of John Elway. They were 2-4, and then Peyton Manning era came. They ended up losing one of those, which gave them 5. I think he won one.
I totally forgot. I totally forgot Elway went there a bunch and lost. And
so, if I'm not mistaken, they are 3-5. But I do know that they had 5 alongside the New England Patriots. Mike.
Yeah.
But it would. The first thing you would think of would be Buffalo, Minnesota. I mean, these are teams that
because they went there
for
yeah. Denver,
but
man, they're like that forgotten franchise when it comes to like Super Bowls and stuff.
Yeah. So there you have it, Mike. What do you have, man? What do you have? Anything before we take off? Any words of wisdom to the people?
Coaches coach, players play.
There you go. Coaches coach, players play. I do want to, like I said, again, thank every single person for checking us out. We appreciate each and every one of you on every level, no matter what we're on, what platform. We thank everyone. Thank you so much. For Ryan, Mike, the two dumb yinzers,